pattern. Let's see. Just waiting for some people to log on again. And we will go over the review sheet. So what I'm going to do while I'm waiting for everybody to get on is I'm just going to go ahead and start by going over some of the easy ones. So let's start by looking at this one. We talked about it a little bit today in class. We said that we do know that these three fractions can all be made with a common denominator of 16. But if you did not recognize that, nobody's here because I just turned it on. Relax. And there's a couple people here. Anyways, we said that you could do this one by finding a common denominator of 16. But if you did not recognize that all three have a common denominator of 16, you could add 2 first. So let's just say you recognize that 8ths and 4ths have a common denominator. You could turn those both into 8ths, add them together first, and then add on your 16th. Hey, Chloe, glad you came back. This one, again, you're looking for those keywords. This one is telling you that she's buying 2 packages and that each package has 15 and 2/3. So you would add 15 and 2/3 plus 15 and 2/3. Add it 2 times so that you have 1 for each package. Like this is 2 packages, and within each package it has 15 and 2/3 of cording. So you'd do 15 and 2/3 cording plus 15 and 2/3 cording. So again, it says 2 packages, but that does not mean take 2 and add it to 15 and 2/3. You would want to do this. And again, when we did this in class, we said 2/3 plus 2/3, we knew equaled 4/3. 15 plus 15, we knew equaled 30. But this you cannot have. You cannot have an improper with a mixed number. So this distractor, this one is wrong. You cannot represent that number in that way. You had to regroup and get 31 and 1/3. Over here again, we said that when we're looking for those keywords, here it says how many more, which is telling us to subtract. We're comparing our reasons with our chocolate chips. So same exact thing. You just rewrite it as subtraction with common denominators of 8. And then subtract. I can't do 5 minus 6, so since I can't do that, I'd borrow from my whole and add 8/8 to my fraction. So now I have 13/8 minus 6/8, and you get a final answer of 7/8. Over here, again, it's just asking you to subtract, not a big deal. We did this one together today in class, but just a quick, if you didn't catch it then. 51 and 1/5 minus 23 and 9/10, and then rewrite them with common denominators. So your common denominator for 5 and 10, if you needed to list your multiples, you could, but you found your common denominator should be 10. So 5 times 2 is 10, 1 times 2 is 2. And then 23, and that was 9/10. And 9/10. I can't do 2 minus 9, so this would become 50. And I just add 10 to it, because 10/10 is my whole. So 12 minus 9 is going to give me 3/10. And then 50 minus 23 is 27. Good night. Bye. Okay, over here, this was like my favorite one we did today. So I'm just going to quickly review it because now that you've seen the process, hopefully you understand it a little bit better. But again, you know that Miss Ingersoll's pizza is cut into 12s. And it says she eats some, so I have no clue what that is. So, but I can draw my fraction. I know that 6 times 2 is 12, so there's 2. And then just cut this into 6. Okay. So there's 12. So the only thing I know about Miss Ingersoll's is that it's something over 12. Walla Kevitz, it says hers is cut into 8s, and she eats 2. So Walla Kevitz, I can draw 2 by 4. I have 8 pieces. I know that she eats 2 of them, which means that the rest are leftovers. So we label it so that it's easier for us to understand it. And so since the total amount, 1 1/3, represents leftovers, we know that Walla Kevitz has 6 out of 8 slices are left over. So Miss Ingersoll's blank over 12 plus Miss Walla Kevitz is going to equal this total of 1 1/3. And anytime we're solving for that unknown, we said we could just rewrite it as subtraction. And so we would do 1 1/3 minus 6/8. So the total amount left over minus Miss Walla Kevitz will tell us how much is Miss Ingersoll's. But again, we obviously have to have a common denominator. So it's going to go into 24ths. What did I do to go from 3 to 24? I did times 8. So do the same thing to your numerator. 1 times 8 is 8. And then what did I do to go from 8 to 24? I did times 3. You would get 18. I can't do 8 minus 18, so again I borrow from the whole and add 24ths to it. When we added those together, we got 32, so 32 minus 18, we got 14 24ths. And again, just like anytime we were solving for that missing number, go back to your original fraction. My original fraction was in 12ths. So what do I do to go from 24 to 12? Divide by 2. Divide by 2, I get 7. So label that those 7, but is that 7 left over? Or was that 7 that she ate? In that case, that was her leftovers. Ingersoll's leftovers plus Walla Kevitz's leftovers equals 1 1/3. So 7 of those are left over, which means the question said, how much did she eat? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She ate. Your answer would be 5. Okay, same thing here. This one says Mr. Slappy and Miss Slappy each bake a tray of lasagna to share with the teachers in their grade. Miss Slappy's lasagna is cut into 6. And 2 are eaten, which means this amount is left over. Mr. Slappy's is cut into 8s, and some are eaten, but we don't know how many, so cut it into 8s. And so this plus this will give you the total amount left over. So Miss Slappy has 4 6 left over, and we don't really know how much he has left over. But I can rewrite this and do the total amount, which was 1 5/12 minus her amount will tell you his amount. So when I do this, again, you need a common denominator, which would be 12. This one's already in 12, so I'll just drop it down. What did you do to go from 6 to 12? Times 2. Do 4 times 2 as well. You would get 8. I can't do 5 minus 8, so once again, we borrow from our whole and we add 12 12ths to it. So now we have 17 minus 8 is 9 12ths. Go back to your original fraction. Our original fraction had a denominator of 8. Since I can't go from 12 to 8, I need to figure out what else do I know about 9 12ths. And we said that I know that 9 12ths is also equivalent to 3/4, because I can divide both of those by 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4. And now I can go from 4 to 8. 4 times 2 is 8. 3 times 2 is 6. So that 6 represents the leftovers. No, the eaten. No, yes, leftovers. Oh my gosh. Leftovers plus leftovers. Which means he ate 2 slices. On the back side, we've got a lot of work with line plots. This one is pretty easy. It's just asking you to find the difference between the greatest length and the shortest length. So here's my greatest length. Here's my shortest length. And if I want to find the distance, first of all, I need to figure out what is my number line being divided into. So count your intervals from one whole number to the next. So 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, 8/8. So it's being divided into eighths. And this is at 14 and 6/8. Minus 13 and 5/8 equals 6/8 minus 5/8 is 1/8, and 14 minus 13 is 1, so the difference is 1 and 1/3. Another suggestion is you can just count your intervals. You'll start at your greatest and count how many intervals it takes for you to go back to your least. So starting here, 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, 8/8 is your one whole, 8 and 1/8. So if you count those intervals, you would either get 9/8 or 1 and 1/8, because this is equivalent to this. This one says she has a shorter ribbon, so the difference between, I'm just going to skip this one, I'm going to go there. Okay, this one says Kelly needs 115 ribbons to make all of the bows needed for how much more ribbon does she need? So first I need to find out the total amount that she has and subtract that from the amount that she needs. So this one is at 13 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/8. So she has 13 and 5/8 plus 14 and 1/8 plus 14 and 1/8 again, because she had 2 data points there. Plus, this is 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, this is 4/8, and there's going to be 3 of them, so 14 and 3/8, 3 times. 14 and 3/8 plus 14 and 3/8 plus 14 and 3/8. Those ones are done. This is 14 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 14 and 6/8. And we're going to add it 1, 2 times. Oh, you know what I did here? I wrote 3/8. That's not 3/8. That was at 4/8. 1, 2, 3, 4. Whoops. I was supposed to write 14 and 4/8 and write it 3 times. My bad. Wouldn't be a wrong answer. Alright, so sorry. This was 4/8, 5/8. This is 6/8. 14 and 6/8, and there's 2 of those. So let me check and count my data points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 numbers. Perfect. And now I just can go through and add my numerators. 5 plus 1 is 6, plus 1 is 7. 7 plus 4 is 11. 11 plus 4 is 15. 15 plus 4 is 19. 19 plus 6 is 25. 25 plus 6 is 31. And again, you go through and double check it. 5, 6, 7, 11, 15, 19, hola, 25, 25 plus 6 is 31, 31/8, and then you would add up all these whole numbers. I can't add these like this. Hey Ava, hola chicari. We're looking at the backside of review part 2. And I'm looking at this one, which is a really good one because I know that line plots are on the test. What we did just discuss, Ava, when you were out, is that I was finding the difference, which is a test question, the difference between the longest and the shortest. When you want to find the difference between the longest and the shortest, you can actually, first of all, figure out what your number line is being divided into. So we said since there are 8 intervals between one hole to the next hole, that my number line is divided into 8s, and we just said that this is 14 and 6/8. The smallest point was 13 and 5/8, and we subtracted. But the easier way to do it is to actually start at the biggest and just count back. So 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, 8/8, 9/8. 9/8 is the same thing as 1 and 1/8. So either way you did it, whether you subtracted or you just counted your intervals between, you still got the correct answer. Here we're having to find the total of all the points on our number line. So we've went through and recorded 13 and 5/8 plus 14 and 1/8 plus 14 and 1/8 plus 14 and 4/8 plus 14 and 4/8 plus 14 and 4/8 plus 14 and 6/8 plus 14 and 6/8. So we went through, we added up all of our numbers, and I got 31. Now I'm going to add up the whole numbers, and there's just so many of them that I'm actually going to rewrite them going up and down. 13 plus 14. What were the homework questions to finish the back side, which is what I'm trying to do right now. But I'm going to be honest, if you get this one and this one, these two, I'm okay with that because it's a lot. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 14 7 times. Wow. Hey, I have a better idea. Instead of writing 14 7 times, I'm going to do 14 times 7 and then add on that 13. 14 times 7 is 28. Regroup my 2. 7 times 1 is 7 plus 2 more is 9. Now I'll add on that 13. So I could have written 14 plus 14 plus 14 plus 14 plus 14 blah, 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 blah 7 times. Yeah, I could have, but that took a long time. So it's easier for me to do 14 times 7 because I know I have the whole number 14 on there 7 times, and then just add that whole number 13. Boom. So 8 plus 3 is 11. 9 plus 1 plus 1. Hey, Carla, how's it going? How's the middle school life? Don't tell them all the horror stories about the 5th grade life. So where we are, Ava, I can't have a whole number with an improper fraction, so I have to regroup. I want to figure out how many times can 8 go into 31. 8 can go into 31. Well, let's see. 8 times 4 would be 32. That would be too much. So it can only go in 3 times. 8 times 3 would mean I would subtract 24 and add in 3. You know what, though, Carla, I have to be honest with you. I think you're great for advanced math. So I'm glad that you're enjoying it. And you always did pretty well with the challenge, so that's a good thing. So when I took away those 24 eighths, essentially, and I made 3 more whole, now my whole number is 114. And then when I subtracted 31 from 24, or 24 from 31 rather, I have 7/8 left over. So this is the amount she has. It says she needs 115, so you would just subtract 115 minus the amount she already has. I can't do this. There's not a fraction to subtract, so since there's not, I'm going to change my 115 to 114 and put 8/8 there. I've borrowed 1 whole. 8/8 minus 7/8 is just 1/8. Boom, done. Drop the mic. Dreamland. No, I'm just kidding. All right, anyways, that's all I'm going to do for tonight because I want you guys to get to bed, and I want to get to bed too. Have a good night. I'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll do a quick review and then a test.